Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show, everyone. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. And everyone, hey, welcome into the program. So today on the show, we have, of course, our correspondent, the one, the only, Mr. Derakhshani. He, of course, is our resident CGI expert, anything that involves computer graphics. And I think that his time here has certainly evolved also into hardware in general, because, you know, so much of the capabilities of CGI rely on the innovations of hardware. So yeah, we're going to, we have a lot of topics here today that cover just about everything there, and it's going to be a fun segment, and I'm really looking forward to it. But before we get to that, everyone, computeramerica.com, that's where you need to find everything, including past shows, future shows, all the shows, podcasts, video archives, links, and of course, anything that we discuss here today will be in the show notes there as well. And I'm happy to say that we are completely caught up with the show. I know that we were behind a couple of shows, but yeah, all of it's there. It's all updated and ready to go. Also, if you go to computeramerica.com, you can see over on the right, as well as anywhere on social media that we have, that we're doing a giveaway. That's right. Computer America entered its 30th year on the air at the beginning of February. And to celebrate, yes, ladies and gentlemen, you can't see Dariush, but he's doing a lovely, lovely golf clap. Computer America, 30 years on the air. And of course, with that, we're doing a giveaway to thank all of our loyal listeners for doing that. We have hundreds of dollars in prizes, as well as prizes from some of your favorite companies and guests. Hey, and we're just trying to give away to as many people as we possibly can. So it's free. It's really simple. And we highly recommend that you do that. By the way, it's there's a couple one-time things, and then there's a lot of daily things. So, of course, you can get multiple entries as well. I'm happy to say that I think as of last night, we were really close yesterday, and I need to check this right now because I think this one right here, we're up to, we just hit over 200,000 entries. So there you go. Now, obviously, you can enter for more entries, but hey, 200,000 entries. We want to thank you so much, and that's an amazing turnout. Now, with all that being said, let's go ahead and get into our segment. As I said before, Derakhshani, longtime Computer America correspondent, and looking at these things here. I was trying to think, when was the first time we kind of, were introduced to Dariush and, kind of talking about these things. And I think it was back in 2013. So this gentleman has been here with us for about 7 to 8 years. It's been quite a while, and we're happy to have him on every single month. Dariush, welcome back onto the show. How you doing?
Good. How are you? Looking dapper today.
Thank you. Yeah, that was my big change for January in this year of broadcasting. Was I went to a sale and got like 3 coats for like $50, and I was like, you know what, spruce it up a little bit. So yeah, there you go. Thank you.
I'll dress up next time.
No, you're good.
My slob gear.
You are dressed for the weather, and that so many people out there are experiencing. So. I know that I believe you're still out there in California, if I'm not mistaken. So
Yes. Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
not.
My friends are in
Yep.
New Jersey and covered in snow.
Yeah. That whole system that drenched the the middle of the country is now moving up to the Northeast, and it's that was crazy. I was definitely paying attention to what was happening in Texas in particular, and people are mad. Like they're mad for probably.
And you know what the mayor responded to them by saying, you're lazy. Why don't you go figure out how to get water for your family? What is it the job of the government to bring water to you?
To be fair,
yes, it is.
That does sound like a Texan thing to say, but I've also heard responses from the governor saying that the people of Texas would rather have these massive blackouts than be subjugated to a national power grid. So. There's a whole series of things that went wrong there. Not the show, but everyone, we hope that you're doing well. Now, with that being said,
absolutely, it's nuts out there.
So Dariush, before we get into anything, last month, unfortunately, our schedules did not sync up, but I wanted to say, how you been? How was your holidays? How's 2021 treating you?
Good. Everything's good. Gained a lot of weight over the holidays, as one should, and now paying the price by being active all the time. And
that's good.
I want very much to build my own computer, but I'm still holding out for the next Intel generation, and it's supposed to be soon.
So we can talk about a couple things now. Just throw this up here so you don't see my background. But so a couple of things. I'm in the same boat as you, and I was just talking about this with one of my friends that I'm really I'm still on the Titan XP graphics card. I'm number of generations behind. I did update my motherboard and my processor. I'm still running the 7700K, so I'm like 3 or 4 generations behind on that. I'm looking forward to upgrading, but I think that if I can just hold out like another year, Nvidia has some exciting things happening, and I think graphics cards where they are in a pretty good spot. But my big thing is the processors and a lot of the other hardware. And is that kind of your feeling as well, that you want to upgrade, but you're waiting? There's an opportunity. It's just not here yet.
Yeah, I like the Intel platform, but I want more bandwidth for the PCI slots.
Right.
Where AMD is right now, and I'm just thinking maybe I jump ship, go to AMD chips. That's what I started with. My first build was an AMD 286 with a 287 coprocessor, so I can run CAD on it.
I'm trying to wonder.
It was great. I loved AMD.
Yeah, I'm trying to wonder how stable AMD is lately, because that's the kind of the big hang up that I've seen so many people have about AMD was that in relative terms, don't get me wrong, AMD is stable. Like they don't sell a shoddy product, but are they as stable as Intel? Because that was one of the selling points was the compatibility and the lack of kind of crashes that can happen from compatibility issues. And I'm wondering if AMD has rectified that, even if it's even if we're talking the difference between 99.4 digits of 9 versus 99.3 digits of 9. I'm wondering how compatible AMD is lately with all the latest hardware software.
No, that's a good point. I've been running a Ryzen on my second computer for years now, and that thing has been solid. I've been rendering on it. I've been running Maya on it and Photoshop, everything, and it's been great. I forget what it is, but it was faster than my 6700K.
Right.
But when I went up to the 9900K, which is what I'm running now, that's a little bit faster than the Ryzen was. But the Ryzen was cheaper, and the bandwidth is more on the motherboards. And I want to be running an RTX Quadro if I can, as well as 10 gigabit Ethernet, and those are really big pipeline cloggers. So I don't know.
You definitely need the added lanes for sure doing your line of work.
Yeah.
And I was just looking at the processors in particular, and I came across one thread that I believe is pretty accurate. But Intel, I guess, claims that they have like a 10-year kind of hardware certification. I don't know if it's strictly a warranty, but they kind of certify these things. Their processors to last 10 years. AMD certifies theirs to last 5 years. Now, let's be honest, a 5-year-old processor is probably due for an upgrade anyways. And a 10-year-old processor, I mean, even if your processor makes it 10 years, do you really want a 10-year-old processor in your computer? I think that's what I was thinking about.
Some larger scale enterprise places like big companies would go for that longer. But I mean, for what we talk about, you're 100% right. Yeah.
It's and of course there is some compatibility, but I got to say that that has been chipped away lately. I don't know if you've been kind of keeping note or keeping tabs on what Apple's been doing with their M1 series of chips and things like that. But Apple took I don't want to say like a massive chunk. It's kind of like when FedEx lost Amazon as a customer, and everyone's like, FedEx is doomed, and it's like, well, it turns out Amazon was about 3 to 4% of our business. And Intel's the same way. Apple was about 4 to 5% of their business, if I recall, which is not nothing. Don't get me wrong. 5% of your revenue going out the window. Yeah, that's something. But at the same time, Apple's chips are, for what they're doing, I think Apple might have did the right thing, especially with the hangups Intel's been having. But I don't see Apple making any any headway into other people's, I guess, kind of hardware. And I guess that was always Apple's intention. Like Apple, it's not like Apple's like, buy the new Apple processor for your standalone PC, Yeah. So I think that Intel, where it's currently sitting at, and of course this story that we're about to start talking about here in just a moment, where they're getting into the GPU market as well, Intel's still sitting pretty good, and I'm hoping that by the end of this year, there's a processor that I can at least upgrade to that's not 14 nanometer, that's maybe something a little bit more compact. But with that being said, one more topic I wanted to bring up, and I'm wondering if you were hit by this and probably put off by this. This is going to be covered in some of our other stories here, such as this one from TechRadar, which has to do with the microchip shortages, which are affecting everything from cars to laptops to graphics cards, of course. Anything that has a microchip in it. Have you seen any reflection of this? Have you seen any consequences of this shortage?
Yeah, totally. One of my students is building themselves a new computer and sent me the specs, and I'm like, why are you on this video? I think it was the RTX 1060. And I'm like, take a little budget out of this part of the build and put it into and I looked at the price. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? Prices are really high. They're really hard to get your hands on, and I've been trying to test ray tracing in graphics. Now I'm not like the biggest, source of information for all things CG or anything, so I get it. But I've been waiting to test something for a really long time to see how it stacks up. It's been a couple of years that RTX has been running,
right?
And I still haven't got my hands on it just to compare.
There's a lot of people who kind of share your frustration, even just in generally the consumer space as well, that there and a not so small part of this, and I don't think I have a story here about that, but it also has to do with Bitcoin. I'm sure that you heard that Bitcoin just topped $50,000 the other day, and why I can bring that up is that there's a chip shortage. Graphics cards are in short supplies. Nvidia is even talking about bringing back older, the 1060s, 1050 Ti's, these older cards, just to meet some kind of demand. And then on top of that, when Bitcoin gets that high, mining for Bitcoin actually makes sense again when it comes to like large scale. Any graphics card that you buy for $200 is $500 worth of Bitcoin mining that you can get out of that. So it's like a straight transaction that you can do. yeah, this shortage, Dariush, I'm really worried that between the pandemic, the shortages, the Bitcoin, kind of the cryptocurrency and the mining, I don't know when this is going to alleviate, but man, it might honestly be a couple of years, because I know that this has been going on since like 2017, 2018, I guess was, when this first kind of started.
Yeah.
And it hasn't gotten better at all.
But I tell you what, though, the stock that I have in Taiwan Semiconductor Company has been amazing. It's like the IBM of the 50s and 60s.
Yeah. A TSMC, and actually I think Intel in particular was looking to tap them. I don't know if you saw this happened since we last talked, but TSMC was actually in talks, because they got that letter from investors and blah blah blah, saying that TSMC or Intel should partner with TSMC to build 7 nanometer chips until Intel can build it themselves, and then they'll slowly move production back over. And TSMC is like, we're building it for everyone else in the world, and we don't have the production capacity to service Intel and everyone else. So they did make some kind of deal, and I'm hoping that they get this under wraps. But manufacturing is the big bottleneck, and I'm not old enough to remember kind of offshoring and that whole thing that happened with China and production, moving manufacturing out of the US. But man, was I happy, Dariush? And and then we'll finally get to a topic, but I just gotta say, am I happy that Intel, their stock went up for a little bit because investors said, close down all your manufacturing plants in the United States of America in favor of shipping it off to TSMC, and Intel just do the branding, they do some of the research, but the actual manufacturing and production happen offshore. And then, of course, Intel turned around and said, you know what? No, we're committed to this. We're going to build chips here, and it's going to be great. Yes. And, Computer America, yay America. But more importantly, it's just, there's like 2 manufacturers right now, Darius, and it's TSMC, Qualcomm, and of course Intel. Like, as far as CPUs go, it's really not a big market or crowded market. I should say.
So consolidated. Yeah, that's the problem with this massive scale economy. You have to become a huge entity to command a really good share price, and And really, it's one of the things that like people are like, oh, well, you have AMD, you have Apple, you have that kind of thing. I mean, AMD, Apple, now part of it, and partly Intel, and of course, Samsung makes their own chips. Pretty much anyone who makes their own chips, they all license it out to TSMC. All of them use the same manufacturing plants. They may use different processes, but they all use the same manufacturing plants. So, to have everything in one place, this disruption, this bottleneck. So, hey, maybe more of that. So, okay, all that aside, let's start talking about Intel in earnest here. This first topic that we have here is going to be about, Intel and their Xe gaming. And Darius, real quick, their processors. Do you remember what their processors? Xeon processors, I think, are their. That's the workstation. And server market Xeons.
Yeah, and I think Xe obviously is going to have
is coming from there.
To do. Yeah, that's going to be that same arm of it. Have you heard anything about this? And I guess more importantly, what would you think about another competitor in the graphics card market?
I think it's a smart move for Intel. They are losing some percentage of their business through Apple. I think this is a good way. But they make chips for all sorts of stuff. And I think they do a great job. So I'm curious to see what their video cards are going to be capable of. Mm-hmm. Because it would be nice to have a third player. Nvidia and AMD, I think Intel could be a good, wake-up call to get up and maybe, having another fabrication company capable of fabrication of chips that they could, help this shortage out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I have no idea what this actually is. I guess it's just supposed to be a procedurally generated image that is meant to be fully detailed and things like that. Raja Kaduri here on Twitter saying XE HPG mesh shading in action with the UL 3D Mark mesh shader feature test that's coming out soon. Essentially just kind of trying to show off the, I guess some of the capabilities of the supposed graphics cards and kind of how good they actually are. Honestly, I mean, maybe because it's just the subject matter of the image, I'm not really, kind of blown away by this. But
No.
yeah, they're shading there, and I'm hoping that the testing goes well. It makes me happy at least that they are in the testing phase. It's still not in the design phase, and I guess they're hoping for they're hoping for late 2021, but probably an early 2022 kind of release. So
yeah, I just hope these cards aren't all competing for the bottom end of the market. I hope that Intel brings some serious muscle to ray tracing, real-time rendering.
So and I think because of the obvious play there on XE with their Xeon processors and things like that, I have a feeling that we're both going to be pretty disappointed because they are probably going to be optimized for where the money is. And the money right now is in selling to large server farms. It's selling to, the likes of Amazon and Microsoft to build up their cloud infrastructure and, just cloud computing. And so I'm betting, Dariush, that they're not too hopeful on making headway into the consumer market, but more than likely they're going to try to capture some of their corporate market first, at least initially. Again, with the XE.
Yeah, I mean, it's a smart way to go. Absolutely, but I hope they come in with some ray tracing.
Yeah, Intel, I doubt they'll make a big splashy kind of entrance into the market because like you said.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. Eventually, a boy can dream.
They'll probably try to come in at the bottom. They're cost effective. They're powerful enough. You can link them together, all that kind of thing. But in reality, they're going to be competing down there with some of the other with some of the lesser Nvidias and AMD cards. But hey, one can hope, and yeah, it's at least a start. So Intel. Again, right. I'm hoping that a late 2021, early 2022 release. For so long, Darius, I mean, let's face it, Nvidia, AMD, those were your choices. Everyone else has been bought up, absorbed, anything like that. And for a while there, AMD was even showing struggling signs. So, yeah, I mean, we've been gushing about how happy we are with AMD, with it now being, a two-person race. We might be even happier with three competitors in the same market. So
yeah, sure.
Yep, there's that one. Okay, now back to the other article that we mentioned in our little kind of long-winded intro there. Had to do with the shortages of the cards. And by the way, I'm looking here, obviously Nvidia is going to have all of their graphics cards up on their site, and unfortunately, I think even Nvidia, every time I hear Nvidia saying that they're going to have cards up, as I recall, they were selling out within seconds, and then they put in like a captcha code and tried to reduce the amount of bots that were buying these things, Dariush. And then after they did that, they were selling out within minutes. Like, there's such a demand it's not even bots and scalpers. It's just people looking for the latest graphics cards that you can find. And any one of these, you check the availability, and they redirect you to some of these other sites. And then of course you get an image like this, just randomly Newegg, out of stock. That was the featured link, like right here on Nvidia's site, featured link, only Newegg for $700, and it's sold out. That's going to happen over and over again. Like, there's even which I'll find it here in a second, but there's a Twitch channel. I don't know if you've ever, or if you've seen this particular Twitch channel, Darius, but it is literally a little crawler bot, and it's just, completely dedicated. I think it's in just chatting, and it's completely dedicated to right here, actually. This one's hilarious. Falcodrin on Twitch, if you want to check this out yourself. And this gentleman has a little bot that goes out, and you can see it checks every single second from Amazon, Newegg, Best Buy, all the different retailers. And they give you out of stock, or it's over MSRP by $100, over by $400, over by $800. And yeah, I mean, there are currently about 1,500 people just watching these prices, Dariush.
Wow.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah, a little nuts. And sad. It just means that it's going to be much, much longer before I get my hands on a ray tracing card.
Yeah, and again, these are only showing up prices for the these are only prices for the RTX 3060, 3070, 3080 cards. You know, this is only for the 3000 series. That one's over $1,300.
Wow.
For that particular card.
2,500. I just saw it scroll by.
Yeah, it's what, and I gotta be honest, even this though, Darius, like compared to like last month, is better than what it was, because it was just a solid wall of text of out. Like there was, you know, even scalp stuff, there was really nothing they could do. So to combat all this, like you said, you know, your student there was looking at the 1060 line of cards. Nvidia is bringing back the 1050 Ti, which I don't know if you remember the benchmarks from that, but as I recall, when it came to kind of price compared to performance, to be fair, the 1050 Ti was one of the best cards out there. Like, it was
scrappy.
Good. Yeah, definitely punching above its weight class. And so that was Nvidia's answer to this, was that, you know, maybe they had some pent up stock, and, you know, obviously the 1050 Ti came out in 2017. They also announced that they were releasing, I think they were releasing like some 2060s or something like that from 2019, which is a little bit more recent. But better. There's just craziness, and I guess that's, you know, with all these stories, Darius, that's just what I wanted to highlight, was that there is a shortage out there, and if you are looking to upgrade, it might not be a bad idea to kind of hold off, because the good cards that are out there, if you can get one, you know, because they're really hard to get, will probably be trumped here in a little bit, because I think Nvidia is going to have something new in the holiday season, as they usually do. So
as they usually do, yeah.
And again, this is just AMD. I think, or I'm sorry, this is just Nvidia. I think AMD is running into the exact same problem. It's not even like, you know, this is just Nvidia. AMD is having the same problem. Okay, so with that story, I wanted to do, let's see, we have a couple more NVIDIA ones that we can do here real quick. Actually, this follows, I think, a little bit more closely, Darius, this story here about Samsung and their chip fabrication in Texas ordered to shut down due to power shortages in Texas. So, don't need to get into this. That's not going to
help the issue. Yeah.
But yeah, just want to say that the recent weather has inflicted even more pain on this particular market. So
yeah, I feel bad. I've got quite a few friends in Texas, and you know, I hope everybody's okay.
Oh, for sure. It's they're going to clean up, and they're going to be resilient. But hey, these things are going to take time. So with that being said, and by the way, this article also mentioned, I did not hear this, Samsung is in the midst of planning for a new $17 billion fabrication in the U.S. this year, with Texas, Arizona, and New York in the running for a new plant. So obviously they're looking for a place with reliable public infrastructure, such as power, water, and of course, I'm sure, employable people to work in the facility.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I'm hoping. Yeah, well, I'm hoping that turns out better than the Foxconn thing that happened in like Utah or whatever it was. That was a debacle and a half, if you recall that one.
Yeah. I don't think they really. I think they were just looking for a way to channel money around a little bit.
They got like a couple $1 billion worth of tax cuts and said that, you know, it's okay if you build this here, and then they never even put up a facility. Yeah, it was.
It's sad.
Yeah, so I hope that turns out better than Foxconn. But yeah, that story there, further shortages, and I just want to go, you know what, I'm just going to, yes, sad indeed. But yeah, so leave that running in the background. I think the next story that we could probably do, just to keep with graphics cards just for a little bit, Dariush, and then we'll get into some fun video game talk and, you know, new innovations in graphics. But let's see. This, I think, flows in nicely enough. This has to do with the 3060 prices, and this is a graphics card that has not come out yet. The 3060 joining the 70, 80, and 90s. And the pre-order price of the graphics card is unfortunately already becoming really bad. European-based retailers like ProShop are hiking the price of the 3060 from 330 euros to 500 euros, which is over a 50% increase before it's even released. And of course, other places have Polish, so Poland has theirs increased by 75%.
It's the same over here. That's why I was surprised when I saw my students build.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that 550 for a 60 level RTX?
Yep. And I hate to say it, but it's a mixture of the shortage along with the Bitcoin cryptocurrency mining variants that just anything on the market is, you know, totally fair game. So, and I think also, I mean, just to kind of wrap this one up here a little bit, but I think Dariush said there's also issues with getting PlayStation 5s. The same chip shortage is affecting consoles, where, you know, you can't build the latest gaming consoles out there. So even those are getting hard to find as well.
It took a really long time to get on a PlayStation 5 for my son. It was pretty rough. We ended up just getting a bundle, which bots don't like. Yeah. And that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that'll, I'm glad that you were able to find one, because I know that a lot of people definitely couldn't. So that's perfect. Okay, so the last one here, it is graphics cards, but it's something cool, at least, about graphics cards, where the 3090 and overclocking, how much do you care? And I think I stopped, Dariush, caring a little bit about, at least as far as CPUs go, when they broke kind of like the 5 gigahertz benchmark. And, that was back in the day when they had to like liquid cool it and, kind of super cool it and that kind of thing. But ever since that, I haven't really been paying attention to this, but it looks like the Nvidia RTX 3090 by Galax smashes 16 world records with an epic overclock, which, we can find out what makes this epic. But fast graphics cards, I mean, they're more of a novelty, right? Like, this isn't something that you can actually reliably use long term.
No, definitely not. Prefer stability over raw speed, at least for workstation working. Rendering, I don't know, that might be something to look into, but I imagine you're shortening the lifespan of this thing as well by juicing it up higher.
I would certainly imagine. So I guess the 3090 has a base clock speed of 1.4 gigahertz, 1.39 gigahertz. The overclockers managed to get that up to 3 gigahertz clock speed.
It's crazy. That's really
on
impressive.
A graphics card. Yeah. On a graphics card in particular.
Just out of nowhere, I remember this company that was custom building workstation PCs that were cooled with oil. Like everything inside the case was oil. The motherboard, everything is not conductive. So it was literally encased in this circulating. And they were claiming
oil or mineral oil?
Mineral oil.
Right, yeah.
As opposed to like crude oil. Yeah, right.
Yes. I found this one here, and this is a pretty cool one. So this is Puget Systems. I think, I'm thinking of Puget Sound, obviously. But yeah, I'm sure this is exactly what you were kind of talking about, and it makes your computer look like an aquarium. So this is published back in 2010. Your memory goes back far enough, where it's like an aquarium style thing, and they show the rendering, the building of it, the actual testing and temperatures and running it. But yeah, it's a full-fledged computer running the classic Windows 7, completely out of. Well, I guess they purposely made it look like an aquarium, but
yeah, I think that you would have to. The point I was trying to make is they've always been going through really great lengths to cool so that they can overclock. And honestly, this is a very impressive overclock. This is really very impressive.
Yep. So and let's see. So reading here, but reaching speeds isn't the only world record that they broke. They broke a number of them, which you can see them here, and of course we'll include a link in the show notes to all 16 of them. We won't go ahead and read those, but let's see. So let's see. How did they actually do this? Let's see, it took them 2 years to get an RTX 2080 or 2080 Ti running at these kinds of speeds. So to have achieved these figures before the card is even on sale to the mass market is a pretty good spot for the Nvidia RTX 3090. Let's see. I don't see liquid nitrogen cooled setups. There we go. And GPUPI, which I have no idea what GPUPI is, software, both from an overclocking team here. But yeah, they broke 16 world records with an RTX 3090. Congrats to them.
Pretty dope.
Pretty darn dope indeed. So I've been, kind of trying to flow through this idea of a chip shortage here with you, Dariush, for the past half hour. I meandered, I weaved, I did that kind of thing. I sent over a number of topics and sure that you have a couple. Jived. Yeah, exactly. And of course, we zigged, we zagged, and there's a couple more topics, but I'm sure that you have some of your own. But my topics, your topics, what would you like to talk about?
I like your list. One of the drums I've been beating for a while, the Epic Games MetaHuman creator that you sent, is just reminds me of our many discussions on the Uncanny Valley and how these just look. I mean, how do they look to you? Do you feel like that is a photo of two people?
I'll be honest. I did not actually watch it. I saw the graphics there, and if you're watching the video portion, we can kind of watch it now. But yeah, it's two people, actually multiple people. Do they look human? Dariush, okay, I'll answer that with a question. Did you think, obviously, I know that Alita Battle Angel was, kind of with the giant eyes and stylized.
Yeah.
Well, but I'm sure that you saw the promo material. I'm hoping. Right?
I definitely have seen quite a bit of it.
So other than the weirdly large eyes, did you think that she looked human? With all the CGI that I know that it was probably a person that they CGI'd all over, and this is completely from scratch CGI. But I think the two achieved almost a similar result.
It's this is really impressive, but I'm fairly sensitive to what makes something look human, and I can't put my finger on it. I think the lighting and the shading of skin has come a really long way, and it looks really good, the amount of texture you put in, but there's micro movements in the skin, the breathing of the skin that's missing, that we don't consciously see. It's not like I look at you and go, oh, look, your skin's breathing. But there's something about the movement, the biological movement in and under skin that, to me, these don't look, I mean, they look amazing. They really do. And it's come a stupid long way, but it falls short of the valley for me. And I look at it now, when they start moving, it becomes even worse because the movements don't really, I don't know, there's something missing from these. But as I've said for years now, we're at a level already at this point where you could, conceivably fool a lot of people with a video and that's frightening.
It's
super frightening.
The images that they're showing, and of course, I've been trying to. By the way, the video is actually available in 4K, and I've been, kind of slowing it down to 75% speed just to, kind of get a better, kind of sense of this. Like, what they're really showing off here is that you can pretty easily make someone with, kind of wrinkles, pores, facial hairs, texture to the skin, the eyes, the eyelashes, like things that I guess would have taken Dariush, 10, 15 years ago, an entire studio of people, and now they have almost, it's an engine. It's something that they can just kind of slap together. And I think what you're getting at, Dariush, is that people are not perfect. Like, don't get me wrong, there's probably some kind of generation here where, there's perfect symmetry to the face, there's perfect levelness to the ears, there's, kind of a sense of perfectness that I think it would take almost an artist. It would take an artist instead of a technical person to make this look more human at this point, because I think the technology, it seems like it's come far enough. Now it comes down to the imperfections, not how good something looks, I guess, if that makes sense.
It comes with figuring out what that missing sensibility is, and filling it, and that varies. It's very subjective. Some people will look at it and go, "Oh my God, that's a real person,"
right?
And so it's a tough target. Tough target to hit, but it is. The implications are very disturbing to me, personally.
That we're getting closer.
Yeah, that this could very easily be used, to subvert and to cajole and to fool, which is, as we can see, really a practice, a winning practice, I should say, of some.
There's a conversation I had with another one of my correspondents, and it had to do with the nature of, I guess, kind of pop stars, and K-pop comes up, as it so does in a technology show. And, he was kind of lamenting that, K-pop, if you're familiar, Dariush, with the genre, the people in K-pop, they're not really, discovered. They're made. They're created from their image, their style, how they present themselves, how they sing. Everything is kind of manufactured in like a K-pop thing where they, take people in, change everything about them, and kind of mold and sculpt these teenagers to become the next K-pop stars. And they're all some of them are, well, I guess, yeah, they're almost too perfect, I guess, which is the kind of that uncanny valley, but for actual real people. K-pop kind of has this thing, and the conversation evolves to the point, Dariush, where I think you would have agreed with that. Because you work in the movie industry, that a lot of movies, like let's say someone casts Ian McKellen in their next film, they want to make sure that their investment with Ian McKellen is not, ended due to any kind of, disease, illness, untimely death of Ian McKellen, which won't happen, by the way. I'm just using him because it's the first one that came into my head. But
sorry, Ian is the man.
Yes, definitely. And but yeah, they take high fidelity scans so that they can 3D render and put them over another actor so that they can at least finish the movie with their actor. It's not like some movies back in the days where the main actor died and they, like halfway through they had to do some cuts and be like, and here's the new star of the film, and like, try to work that into the script. No, right? I think I'm right about this, where they take high quality scans and pull like a Paul Walker from Fast and Furious and put him in digitally.
One of the first uses of this in a Hollywood movie was with The Crow, when Brandon Lee passed away. So they had a number of shots that they needed, with him in it. But he, unfortunately was deceased.
Forgot. I forgot about this film because I never saw it, but I remember going into VHS stores and seeing this on the shelf and being like, that freaks me out when I was like 7 years old. The box art and the imagery of that whole movie, I did not know that. That's a good tidbit.
Yeah, well, they didn't use CGI like
right.
What we're seeing right now wasn't full, but they did use a lot of compositing and artistry to fill him in on somebody else's. This was the thing a director asked me to do. Like, I'm fresh out of grad school, and this guy's asking me, I don't want to work with this actor anymore, and how much would it be to put his head on a green screen actor? This was 98, 99, something like that.
So you're the founding of that whole technology. That's nice. That's great.
Yeah, it's all me. No, absolutely. I'm the original virtual human.
Right. So, and my long-winded way of saying all of that is that if we're already taking people and turning them into these images that we kind of see in pop culture and art and billboards and things like that, how long is it, Dariush, until people like this human creator or something like that, where let's say a movie studio is looking for their next big star, and it's not Robert Downey Jr., it's not any of these other people, but rather Benedict Cumberbatch. Why not? Let's just go the whole Marvel character universe actor. What if they decide to make their next big star, to star in different movies, and they own that person entirely because they are completely fictitious, they're completely digital, they own their voice, they own their appearance, they own all the rights to them? Do you think of a dystopian type future like that, where it's not your favorite actor, it's your favorite studio's actor, I guess, is a way to think about it.
Imagine if a studio can put out a movie or stream a show, and these digital actors swap out according to who you are. So if you fancy one type of person, that would be the lead of Friends for you.
Personalized videos.
And would be a different, body type that I would be into for me. Like we would have two different, Rachels or whatever.
Or and of course there's so many instances,
there you have
like
it, folks.
Yeah. Or what if you really thought that oh my God, what is that gentleman? Chris Farley would have made a better Shrek than Michael Myers. And then you could have whichever actor that you prefer. Of course, we're still thinking about people that that we kind of know, but I don't think the future is too crazy where, you're talking about making, kind of films that don't really exist with people that do exist and putting them in, kind of situations that they would never get themselves into or things like that. Being able to tell reality from fiction. But what about when fiction just tries to stick to fiction and, Hollywood movies, all that kind of thing, they're selling you a fake reality anyways. Like, most of these films, the world of Avatar does not really exist, but they're trying to sell you the fantasy anyways. I think that this future is not that far off. I don't know if people can relate to a completely digital person, but I feel like it's not something that hasn't been brought up before. Yeah,
it is. It's frightening,
and
you're right. It's at the
ease.
door.
Yeah.
Once it gets artificially intelligent automation, it's it's Terminator, it's Skynet. That's what's happening. The other option, my other dystopian view of next year is the Matrix. Everybody has literally their own virtual reality and lives in their own, while they're hooked up to electrodes that sap them for fuel. So
which, by the way,
Facebook, Matrix, it's a slippery cliff.
I have heard Zuckerberg be compared to Android, so yeah, there you go. I don't know who the Anderson is out there, but yeah, I okay. I just have to say, first of all companies out there thinking about doing this, humans make terrible batteries. Don't do that. The Matrix makes no sense.
Well,
It doesn't. But I got to say that, so all that aside, being able to make this, instead of the dystopian way, I'm hoping that the other way goes, that this democratizes the technology, and that, a lot of other, like, let's say video games, movies, TV shows, whatever, are able to be produced with as good of a quality on a much lower budget. And I think that's what Unreal Engine has always been able to bring, is that I think that, like, as long as you sell like under $1 million with whatever assets you make in Unreal Engine, they don't even charge you a licensing fee. Like, they're very much about getting tools that professionals use into people's hands, without all these high walls. So I'm hoping that's what they do with that technology, at least, let other people get to play with it. Mm-hmm. But very impressive technology that they're able to show off there.
It's pretty epic. Yeah. No pun.
I see what you did there. Very cool. And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to check that out yourself, of course, you can see the MetaHuman creator video, which is up there. And
I did want to throw in on one more of your topics, if I may, on
sure.
CGW, the Frame IO camera to cloud.
Yeah.
I've used Frame IO on a film before, and I loved it. The system collaboration is just really fantastic, very intuitive, and this just makes it so much more powerful for filmmakers.
So I saw this and I was like, this seems like right up Dariush's alley. Let's talk about this for a second. Talk about this idea of a cloud-based video review and approval platform compared to what's traditionally been happening. Like why did you love this over what you've worked with before?
For a couple of reasons. I mean, back in the day, you would gather in a screening room, and then get yelled at by your boss for all the stuff that doesn't look the way they want. Online review's been a thing we've been doing for a very long time. You want to look at somebody's film or animation or output or whatever, and mark up on it, and notes, and do this and do that while you're on a conference with them. So there's a lot of issues. You want to sync your playback between the two clients. You want to be able to... Everything that we're doing in Zoom now is exactly what I'm talking about. So Frame.io has a great framework where you can post clips, edits, shots, and have people invited to come in and make notes and collaborate, and it's really easy. What I've used in the past, I've used Shotgun, I've used proprietary, and they can, Shotgun is huge, it's amazing, and it's really, really pretty complicated to use unless it's been set up for you.
Mm-hmm.
So Frame.io is better than just posting something on Google Drive and then taking a look at it and marking it up and sending it over. It allows you to do that just on their server. So now what they're proposing is basically from camera right up to disseminate to everybody, to your editor, your color, to VFX, to everybody, directly off of your camera, basically, which is automating part of that process. The ingestion, somebody had to, pull all these cards and take the data and process it. So I'm excited to see Frame.io step into that more.
Mm-hmm.
But I really like them for their review capability.
Right. And I guess this, sorry if I missed it in, what you're saying there, but the big benefit to this is, I guess, the reduced production time. The fact that, these changes and these ideas get thrown out there, put in there faster without, multiple teams bouncing it back and forth between multiple teams. Like, it's the immediacy that is the benefit of this.
It's the immediacy, it's the clarity of it. And it's not like brand new technology. It's not like this has never been done before, but nice to see these guys step into it, because I like their sensibility with the review process. So, and as we, live through the zombie apocalypse into its second year, starting now-ish, collaborating clearly online, storing information online, accessing it, syncing it, and being able to disseminate to your team and then distribute is all streaming and online based. So this I want to see at a consumer level. I want to see this available for, friends who just want to pal around on their iPhones and shoot some stuff and put stuff together. That would be really nice.
I would say that something like that would be maybe like almost like a Zoom call, but specifically for editing and specifically for being able to share ideas.
You can,
all the technology's there.
Shoot and upload and share it with your friends who will download it, edit it, do whatever, and share it. I think that is where this technology needs to go. At the professional level, it's great. Simplifying it, making it intuitive is awesome, but I think it needs to go to consumer level for kids to play with.
Yeah, it seems like it would really help the ability to collaborate a lot easier. And like you said, just when it makes sense, and when you said that you like their sensibility, when it just flows together, when it just makes sense, everyone goes, hey, wow, I can't believe we didn't have this sooner. It's just it's just so easy. And I'm sure that one of those innovations is actually just the availability of broadband kind of internet, the ability for faster internet speeds. So
that's important. You read the story about, I think it was a 80-some-year-old man who took out a full-page New York Times
covered
ad.
that, indeed. Yes, he was 90. He was 90.
90.
He was a customer of AT&T back in the day, and like I don't know if you caught his email address at the end because he told the CEO to email him at pacbell.net, which I'm surprised.
I used to have a Pacbell account.
I'm surprised
That's awesome.
that even still works. But he was a customer for like 54 years, and he was mad that he was still on DSL. But
I would be too.
I think most people would. So, I definitely remember that. And I guess so. Great shout out to Frame.io. I'm going to bookmark them, see if they want to come on the show, and see if they want to, kind of talk about what they will be launching in March, as I just saw on their website. So, very cool things there. One more thing. There's so many things we could talk about, but I wanted to talk about this one in particular. Dariush, Stadia did not get off to a rip-roaring start, and I think we've talked about the idea of cloud processing, cloud computing, making it so that the graphics processing happens off-site, and in this case it would have been Google servers. Stadia did not shut down, but the Stadia game development studio, I don't know how much experience you have with video games, Dariush, but they gave it 2 years and then they shut it down. Like that's not really a lot of time.
Yeah, no. It sounds like they were half in at best. If you're really honestly going to make a go of a game studio, you're at least half a dozen years in. And if you can't put that up, don't try. Yeah. I feel bad for the artists and the people who we're putting their talents there.
Yeah, they had a couple of quotes from people saying that we thought that with a company like Google, which has a $1.4 trillion market cap, and the fact that they gave us assurances that we'd be able to flex our creative muscles, that we'd be okay. But hey, turns out not so much. By the way, I just brought up this story because I wanted to also include this one in the show notes. Have you ever heard of Killed by Google, the website?
I have, yeah. I have.
Stadia goes right on in there. And by the way, Google has
there's a lot there.
Look, Google Plus.
One point whatever trillion dollar capitalization comes from something.
Yeah.
So you do a lot of things, you're going to fail at a lot of things.
I'm usually okay with companies kind of pulling the plug and saying, you know what, this isn't working. We're going to try something else. It's whatever. But 2 years was just such a short time. I don't know what they were expecting.
No. The studio needs more time.
Yeah,
to get its footing.
For sure. So there's that story, and then let's see. We don't have time for like any more stories. We have like 1 minute, Dariush. I guess to bring other things to people's attention, Microsoft Flight Simulator. I don't know if you had a chance to play around with that, Dariush.
No, I haven't actually. It looks amazing though. From what
it does look amazing.
I've been reading and looking at.
Yeah, and they have an update that just came out, I think, today for the UK and Ireland. So all this is reconstructed with satellite images and kind of flyovers, and artists kind of go about remodeling these things. And by the way, Dariush, I think it was a fun statistic that like about 90% of people, the first place that they go to see wasn't, the Great Pyramids. It wasn't, Area 52, or I'm sorry, Area 51. It was their own homes. 90% of people, the first time they flew home to see their own house. Wow. So, yeah, that's a very common thing for people to do.
I think I probably would too, actually.
Yeah, of course.
And then I would run outside to see if I could wave to myself.
Not quite there. That's a different kind of dystopian. Ladies and gentlemen, we're done here. Dariush, we're going to have everything in the show notes, all the links and things like that. Thank you for joining us. This has been great. And looking forward to next month.
Always.
All right, perfect. Everyone out there, hey, again, the giveaway. Everyone have a great one. Bye-bye.